I want to talk about something called the 80-20 rule. So, for those who do not know me, my name is Nathan. I help busy Orthodox Christians learn Byzantine music so that they can implement their skills in their parish in a practical way. So, I thought this is a very appropriate subject here. So, what is the 80-20 rule? So it's this concept that is popular in business and stuff. And it's basically the idea that 20% of the right tasks will give you 80% of the results. So can we apply that to chanting? And by the way, this is not to somehow say that it doesn't really take effort to learn Byzantine chanting, and it's just you don't have to try very hard. You can just do 20% of the work and get the full result. That's not what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. You are, let's say, working a job, right? And maybe a 9 to 5 job, or maybe you're in school, or maybe you have kids, or maybe all three, or a combination, or whatever. And you do not have time, you do not have hours per day to learn Byzantine music. And in your parish, you've got maybe Western notation, the Green Book, choir, what do you call it? Polyphonic Western arrangements, and you want to learn how to do things the right way. But you do not have time for hours a day of studying. But what's the 20% you can do? 20% of the right tasks you can do to get 80% of the results of knowing Byzantine music so you can implement it in your parish. That's what I want to talk about. But before we start, if you are interested in learning from me this 20%, or even if you want to go further than 20%, if you want me to guide you through the process of learning to chant in a way that is flexible to you and tailored to your schedule and your needs and your goals, then you can click the link in the description, and you can schedule a free online lesson to just give it a try, see if this type of thing is a good fit for you. So, what's the 20% of the right tasks we can do so we can get 80% of the results? I feel like I'm going to get these two mixed up, 20%, 80%. What's the 20% we can do to get 80% of the results? Okay. Number one is the most important. Listen to good recordings. And thankfully we have YouTube, which is full of recordings of very, very experienced chanters. Personally, I love the Mount Athos style of chanting. So you can go on YouTube, you can search. Basically, my favorite chanters are Father Theodosios on Mount Athos. I think it's he's from the Lanilei sort of school of the ethos of Mount Athos. Also, Hieron de Damaskinos on Mount Athos. You may know, what's his name? Father Cheruvim Tsinoglu. I didn't check, forgive me if I'm saying it, if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but he's very, very good chanter, very kind person as well. I've spoken to him. I recommend listening to him, and those are just some of my favorites. But go on YouTube, listen to good chanters, and listen to them a lot. And how do you do this? You can just have their recordings playing while you're working, or while you're, if you can, or while you're driving, or while you're eating. Listen to them as much as possible. And what you're doing is, this doesn't really take much effort, right? You're just doing it in the background while you're doing other stuff, but it's going to get into your head this sort of these melodies, these of Byzantine music, and the general style of how it's chanted, how things are chanted. It's going to get into your mind, even without you wanting for it to happen, and you're going to start to internalize it, basically. So that's one thing that you can do to really speed up the process of learning this stuff. Next, what's the next thing of this 20%? That is going to be listening to and learning the scales. So in Byzantine music, we have basically 4 scales: diatonic, hard chromatic, soft chromatic, and enharmonic. I would learn them in a specific order. First, I would learn diatonic. That's the most simple scale that we use to learn the basics, right? After that, I would learn, you could learn enharmonic. In other words, the scale with the flat zo. It's very similar to diatonic, but the zo is flat. You can learn that after the diatonic. After that, I would learn hard chromatic. This hard chromatic has a completely different structure to it, such that it's very different from diatonic, and you can kind of not get them confused, because the issue is sometimes people get them confused. Learn the hard chromatic. After that, this is the most difficult one, it's the soft chromatic. Now the soft chromatic can easily get mixed up with some of the like the diatonic or the hard chromatic, but it's kind of different. It's like its own thing, and it's very difficult impossible actually to replicate the soft chromatic scale with Western notation. So how do you learn the scales? You want to find a recording of the scale, and this is where I really want to help you. Here's what I want to do. My email is going to be in the description of this video. If you want me to send you a recording of the diatonic scale, completely free, I just want to help you. I just want to help you learn. If you want a recording of the diatonic scale, just email me with my email, which is linked in the description, and just email me the word scale, and I will send you a recording of the diatonic scale. So that's the first step. When you have that recording, download it on your phone and listen to it the same way you listen to the other chanting as I mentioned before. Just listen to it on repeat, and it's going to start to get into your head, and you're going to be able to memorize it, right? You're going to be able to have it, to just know it internally. So, learning the scales, listening to recordings. And next is practical implementation of these things. How are we going to do that? So you don't have time, like I said. You do not have hours a day to learn this stuff. But do you have 10 minutes? Do you have 10 minutes out of the day? You probably do. So in this case, the last part of this sort of 20% of the tasks that we're going to do is to spend 10 minutes a day. That's it, just 10 minutes a day. Get home from work and you spend 10 minutes a day implementing just the basics. What are the basics? Okay, practicing the scale and learning the basic symbols. So if you want to learn Byzantine notation, it's very much like a language. And what we have is symbols. It's different than Western notation, because Western notation, as far as I understand it, gives you pitches in terms of absolute pitches on a staff. It gives you the staff, and it gives you A is here, this is B, this is C, and it sounds like this. And when you chant with Western notation, you just go through you just chant each pitch, right? Or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how to read Western notation. But the Byzantine is different because it's going to give you a starting note from the scale, which is known as a martyria. And from there, it's going to give you symbols, various different symbols telling you where to go. Some symbols, there's a bunch of different symbols. Some are up one note. There's stay on the same note. There's go down one note. There's many different symbols. And basically each symbol is one beat. That's how we do the sort of counting in the Byzantine notation. So what can you do? You can learn little by little, 10 minutes a day, learn the symbols. And again, because I am very generous and want to help you, if you want a table or a sort of chart of all the symbols that we use in Byzantine notation, again, my email is going to be in the description. If you want me to just send you that chart for free, just email me symbols. Now, if you want both, if you want the scale and the symbols, then just email me scale and symbols. Just send me a message, an email, and just type scale and symbols. I will send both of those to you. So you're going to have then a recording of the scale as well as a table of all the symbols. Learn each symbol one by one, very slowly, 10 minutes a day. Learn what the ison is, and get the sense of the ison, one beat, or stay on the same note. Right? Every time you see an ison, it's the same note. Then learn the oligon, up one note. If you're on ni, you see an oligon, you go to pa. And just very slowly, it's not going to happen overnight, but you are going to, over time, start to learn how to read the notation, where you can learn to chant basic sort of hymns. You're going to know the scale, and you're going to also know how this chanting is supposed to sound because you have listened to other chanters. This is not like going to the seminary and spending $1 million and doing this intensive study. This is I almost would call it low effort, because you're going to just spend a few minutes a day, or you're just going to have recordings in the background. But if you do this and you stick to it, you are going to have essentially achieved 80% of what it takes to be a good chanter in your parish in the United States. You're going to be able to chant the traditional Byzantine hymns in the traditional way, right? Not Western Green Book stuff, in your parish in a way that is that it shows that you know what you're doing, right? And that's our goal. So if you can do this 20%, you really can get 80% of the results. So you can give it a try, and I hope this was helpful.